Good morning, guys. Welcome to this first video tutorial of the science class. Today we're going to talk about a healthy diet. These include the page 17 to the page 24. Let's begin with the class. So as you can see on the page 17, we have a few questions about a healthy diet. The first one, how does nutritional requirement vary from person to person? How do we plan a diet according to our nutritional requirements? How do we read product labels? And what are the effects of food additive on our health? All these questions are going to be important for you because you're going to be using those kind of questions when you're going to work on the activity book. On the page 18, we have different people, different diets. How does diet vary from person to person? Well, as you have on the book, it says that food provides us with nutrients that our body needs. Different people have to eat different amount and types of food. The amount of each type of nutrient a person needs is known as nutrition requirement. So, what they are trying to explain to you here is that depending on the activities that you do on your daily basis, the amount of food is going to be different. For an example, a person that is an athlete does not need the same amount of food from a person that does not practice any type of sport. We have each of us has different nutritional requirement. This changes with our age, gender, body weight, and the activities that we perform. Well, as I mentioned before, depending also on your age and the gender, the amount of food that you're going to eat is not going to be the same one. On the page 19, we have the gender, and here we have a very good example. Here we have a typical meal for men, and men generally have a higher nutritional requirement than a woman. Men tend to be more active, bigger, stronger, and taller than women of the same age. And on the other side, you have that women generally have a lower nutritional requirement than men. It is important for women to eat more food rich in calcium and in iron. Calcium helps to lower the chance of getting bone disorder, which affect women more than men. Women need more iron because they lose iron every month during the menstrual cycle. On the next page, we have the body weight. A heavier person needs a lot of energy for his body to function, so he has a high nutritional requirement. Obviously, a lighter person needs less energy than a heavier person for his body to function. So a lighter person has a lower nutritional requirement. As you can see on the picture here, we have a person that practice like a bodybuilding style, and obviously a person who lift weights, he or she is going to need more food, especially that person is going to require more from proteins to build muscles. On the other side, we have a lighter person that he does a kind of cardio, for example, and the amount of food that he or she requires is not going to be the same amount. On the other page, we have the activities. A farmer has to eat a lot of carbohydrates. She needs a large amount of energy to do physical work on the field. And on the other side, we have a person who works at his desk most of the time is not very active. He has to eat less carbohydrates than a very active person because he needs less energy. Well, as we mentioned before, remember that the carbohydrates are going to be the fuel that move your body. Without carbohydrates, you're not gonna be able to perform well. Carbohydrates are very important to us to do like works that include physical activity. On the page 22, we have product labels. What information do we get from product labels? Most food products have products labels on their packaging. Products labels give us information about the food products that we eat. For example, we have the serving size. This gives us an idea of the amount of this food product a person usually eats in one sitting. Then we also have the nutrition facts. We have, for example, the energy, the calories, the total fat, the sodium, and the total carbohydrate. This information is going to be of extreme importance if you want to keep a good, healthy diet. For example, in the case of the calories is going to be the unit how we measure our food. Remember that if you eat too many calories in a day, in the future you're gonna be developing an overweight. Then we have, for example, the total fat. You know that the less fat we eat is gonna be better for our health. So we need to pay a lot of attention to this. And then we have sodium. Sodium is very important. If you consume too much sodium in your diet, at the end you can cause problems to your body. In this case, to your kidneys. And remember, the function of kidneys is to filter our blood. So for that reason, we need to be very careful with the amount of sodium that we eat. And then we have the carbohydrate, as I mentioned before. Carbohydrates are going to be very important to us because they are the fuel of our body, and they're going to help us, to do especially physical activities. But we need to be careful with the carbohydrates, especially with the refined ones. When I'm talking about refined carbohydrates, I'm talking about sugar, I'm talking about white bread, white rice, everything that is made with a carbohydrates. Like, for example, when you are preparing a cake, you need to be careful with the flour they use. Then we also have the fibers, and the fibers are going to be especially very good for our digestive system. Then we also have the expiration day. In this case, the expiration day will be the day in which the product was produced and the day in which the product must be consumed. On the next page, we have the effects of food additive on our health. So most of the packages in foods contain food additive. Packaged foods are foods that are manufactured outside the home and can be bought at various places, including supermarkets. Eating a small amount of food additive is usually harmless. However, eating large amounts of food additive can cause harmful effects in some people. The following are some short-term effects and long-term effects of eating food additive. Then short-term, you're going to have an uneasiness in stomach, an urge to vomit, diarrhea, faster heartbeat, guided feelings, skin problems, headaches. In the long-term effects, you're going to have a higher chance of getting a heart disease and cancer, and also a higher chance of organs not working properly. So in this case, you need to be very careful with the amount of food that you eat. Let me give you an example. For example, there are some foods like the one that you love, Doritos, and they have a lot of food additive. And as you know, and as you see on the news, eating this kind of food is not a good idea, because at the end, what you're doing to your body, you're doing, or you're making some damage to your body. So you must be careful with the things that you're eating. And then on the last page, on the page 25, you have the practice that you can solve by yourself using the information that you just hear from me, and also using information that you have on the book. Well, guys, we will see you on the next time on our second video. Using this, you're going to be able to work on your activity book from the page 11 to 14. So I see you on the next video tutorial. Take care, guys.